What's up, you guys? Forrest here with the FoCo Flow Show, and we are coming to the end of 2024 and getting ready to kick off 2025. Depending upon when you're watching this video, we have an awesome year, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to kick off and recap the top 10 trails that I got to ride that was new to me in 2024 and talk about what's to expect here in 2025. So without further ado, let's get out there and find that flow. So 2024 has been an awesome year for myself personally and professionally, and of course riding mountain bikes all over the city of Charlottesville and the state of Virginia, and when traveling across the United States. Of course, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I have a family, a job, a church, everything that keeps my time very, very focused, but love to get the rides in when I can. Very, very consistent if you follow me on Strava. 2024 was ups and downs, had some pretty serious health issues that got me off the bike thanks to a pulmonary embolism, which is super, super serious, and now on blood thinners, so got to be a little bit more careful than I have been in years past. But once understanding and meeting with my doctor did not slow me down or knock me off the bike completely. Had some really cool trips, had some opportunities to connect up some really cool trail areas. So what I thought might be fun to do, again, was give you my top 10 trails that I got to ride that were new to me in 2024. And then I'll give you a little idea what to look out for in 2025, what you're going to hear from me, some bike build videos, as well as some more focused Charlottesville and Virginia trail rides, which is why we started the channel in the first place. So without further ado, let's go through our top 10 and give you some highlights of those trails that were new to me and awesome in 2024. So first on the list, if you've been following me at all, is going to have to be the Grafton Mesa Trail right outside of Zion National Park. You saw the Greater Zion series this year. We got an awesome trip with St. Jimmy. So you're gonna see a few of those trails on the list. The whole Greater Zion, St. George, Utah area is about 2 hours from Las Vegas Airport. Super accessible, mesas all over the place, rocks all over the place, unique, way different type of riding than anything on the East Coast where you've got loam and granite. Here you've got desert rock and slick rock slabs. Tops on the list. Number one was the Grafton Mesa Trail. It was the chunkiest, gnarliest of the trails and the mesas that I got to ride, and that downhill section was rowdy as heck. As you can kind of see, super exposed, super gnarly. Definitely not the most gnarly stuff in that whole region. You've got things like Flying Monkey and then the Kong stuff that is double black diamond pro line. We didn't try those, so that doesn't make the list because I didn't ride them. Those are on the list if I ever go back there. And then you get into Virgin, Utah, which is all in that area, and you've got like Rampage, Red Bull Rampage type stuff. So Grafton Mesa was my favorite of all the mesas we've rode. I've ridden 6, 7 of them at this point, and it was the chunkiest, the gnarliest, the narrowest, and very much one of the hardest downhill, most gnarly, most technical downhill trails that were still a lot of fun. It was right at the brink of like the hardest stuff that I'm capable of riding without feeling like I'm going to die. So number one on the list out of everything I rode in 2024 is 100% the Grafton Mesa and Grafton Downhill Trail specifically. Number two on the list is without a doubt the South Mountain Trail, National Trail, right outside, right really in Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out to Cactus Rentals and James that hooked me up with a rental bike. If you're ever in that area, need a rental, hit up Cactus Rentals. They'll take care of you. Again, desert, cactus, rocks, more rocks, a little bit dusty, and then you get the waterfall uphill, which I did not have any chance of climbing up, and then bombing it downhill and achieving that really cool rock roll slabby thing at the end was a highlight for me in 2024. It's the only thing I've ever ridden in the Phoenix area, so I can't compare it to anything else. It was just a one-shot deal while I was out there and had one chance to ride. But it's world-renowned. People know about that trail, and it's why I chose it. It ranks very, very high on one of the coolest trail systems that I've ever ridden, full stop, inclusive of everything that I've ridden across the country, especially compared to way different than anything on the East Coast because it's that mountain, rocky, desert riding. So it gets really, really high marks for me. The climbs were tough, but they weren't prohibitive for anybody that's in intermediate fitness levels. And then again, just the vibe out there was really, really exciting for me. So definitely ranks very, very high. If I was ever back to that area, it would be one of the places that I would ride first before exploring whatever else is out there in the greater Phoenix mountain bike area. And then at some point want to make a trip down to Sedona that's not that far from the Phoenix area. Number 3 on the list, we're going to take it back home here to Charlottesville, and that's going to be the Skidmark Trail there in Hayward Community Forest, right outside of Ragged Mountain, near UVA grounds. Sam Skidmore built this trail with help from Cambic, and it is in an ever-growing trail system that is getting better and better by the day. If you're in Charlottesville, you're going to get slabs, you're going to get rocks and drops and berms and roots. You're going to get everything that East Coast riding has to offer. It's not the biggest mountain you can find. It's not the longest descent you can find. But again, if you're in the area, which I am, and it ranks higher because I live in Charlottesville and can ride this any day, but check out Hayward Community Forest. Check out what's being built there every single day. We're going to have some more videos and rides from me when you look at the other things that are starting to piece together with trails called Happy Birthday and the Flowy Trails and Rongamboyo, another huge slab trail. Again, huge slab trails here in Charlottesville. You may not think about it, but once you come and see what that trail system is becoming, you'll understand why it ranks number 3 on the new trails that I've ridden in 2024. Number 4 on the list takes us back to that St. George Greater Zion area, and it's Gooseberry Mesa. Gooseberry, if you read any of the articles, probably ranks as the number 1 most iconic trail in the region. It didn't rank quite as high as Grafton Mesa for me because it was a ton of work. It was gorgeous, it was rocky, it was slabby, but it was hards ups and hards downs, and there were some areas like the Secret Trail that we rode that just weren't as fun as a lot of the other stuff that we rode in the area. Don't get me wrong, if you're out in that area, you're going to probably do what I did and start with Gooseberry, and you're not going to be disappointed. You've got cliffside, mesa riding, you've got rock slabs, you've got rocky, slick rock to navigate. Again, it was interesting though, because where with the Grafton downhill, you got a bombing downhill to finish your ride. You don't get that in most of the mesa riding that's in that region, and that's just good to know if you're ever headed to St. George. There are ways to get long extended downhills, but Gooseberry was not that thing. Gooseberry was short ups and short downs, and maybe you string together a 10-second downhill at most, but you're not going to string together tons of those things. So thrilled that I rode it. If I ever went back there, I'd ride it again, but I would ride a different route. It's a massive little trail system, big trail system on top of that mesa, and you can even connect it right over to Grafton if you're making a big day out of it, and there's more mesas from there that you connect it to. So the whole area is awesome. But it doesn't rank quite as number 1 because you just gotta know you're gonna put in some work. We did 19 miles and we were absolutely smoked by the end of it. That's what you want when you're out there, and it's certainly the most iconic, most memorable, most known, world-renowned trail in the region. So you're gonna ride it if you're there, especially for the first time. Following right behind it, in the number 5 spot, is the Zen Trail in St. George. So this is not quite as mesa like we're talking about when we say Grafton Mesa or we say Gooseberry Mesa. This is a sort of trail that you ride in the St. George proper area up into the edge of a cliffside. So sort of a mesa maybe, but it's not the same idea, because here you're going to get that sustained downhill, rocky, multiple lines. This is the one where I blew up the rear hub and had to go chainless all the way down on St. Jimmy's bike. Sorry, Jim. But it was awesome. I want to go back there and ride it again. There's that alt line called Mesa St that we didn't have time for, and I couldn't have done anyways because I couldn't pedal. And there's all sorts of spider webs of the trail system there where you can get up to a different part of that whole rocky slab mountain and then go down. I think it's called Barrel Trail, and quite a bit of other things that are surrounding that area. Reminder that they're still fighting to keep access to that whole area and not have a land developer develop residential housing on it and lose access. So check out that video if you want to see more details and hear a little bit more about that story. Zen was awesome, and it was a true downhill, and it was just alt lines and rocky slabs. Again, you got to be an intermediate rider to ride just about anything that you're going to hear from me on this today, especially Zen. There was probably some black diamond stuff that you're going to want to be careful for if you're going to go check it out. But it was also accessible. The climb was moderate and not undoable. I walked a couple of spots, and then you get a super, super big reward, which is what I like a whole lot better, again, about like the Grafton Trail and now this trail compared to a regular mesa trail like Gooseberry. So Zen gets super high marks. If I ever went back to St. George, I would ride that again. I would do Mesa Zen, and then I would run up and check out the big drops and jumps that you're going to find on that Barrel Trail that we didn't have time to check out. Super fun, very, very iconic, right there in the heart of the actual St. George, a little farther away from the mesas that get over to closer to Zion National Park, but all in that region. If you're visiting Zion, you're still only about an hour away from everything that we're talking about in this area. So definitely high marks for the Zen Trail. Number 6 on the list is in Colorado Springs, and the chutes and ladders and Captain Jack and Captain Morgan trail system ride that we did right there with 1 day to ride. It was in the early April time frame, so if you watch that video, the back side of that whole ride was a snowy mess and made it an adventure ride, and my buddy almost rolled down the mountain. But when we got back to the other side that had more sun exposure there in Colorado, we got flowy jumps, we've got narrow alpine looking single track with a lot more loam, followed by kitty litter, followed by rocky sections. Super gorgeous, super unique, high fun factor, and they've been building more since I rode there in April. And again, another great thing about this is, like, from Colorado Springs proper, there's a great, really accessible parking lot. The climb up was long, it was hard, but it wasn't undoable. We did a 13-mile loop there. Golly, man, if ever back in that area, I'm gonna ride there again and explore more. It's below Pikes Peak, and there's that whole Pikes Plummet, which is a massive shuttle day that would love to do one day if I've got more than 24 hours to spend in that region. So super awesome, very, very high rank. Just know when you're riding in, well, a lot of that area, but as I've experienced with the rides I've done in Denver, the rides I've done in Colorado Springs now, it really, the time of year matters because you're gonna get a lot of snow, especially on one side of the mountain versus the other. And so you wanna know, like, if you're in April like we were, one half of the mountain was great and good to go, the other half was covered in snow, and then you just got a smaller window in that area compared to some of the more deserty stuff that we got to ride out west. It's going to be better longer in the year. Number 7 on the list needs no introduction if you're from the East Coast, especially if you're from like that mid-Atlantic, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and it is the Canoga Bike Park. Got to meet up with my good buddy and Cognitive MTB founder, Austin, and he lives right there in Hendersonville. It's a pedal bike park, and we rode a host of different trails. For the purposes of this video, it was actually my first time ever there. It's my only time ever been there. The pro tip is if you've got an e-bike or rent an e-bike, that's what would make this the most fun, because there's no lift, there's no shuttle, you got to pedal to the top. We got about 4 or 5 laps in on a couple of different trails here, and like you see the highlights behind me, man, it was just awesome. Flowy, fun, rowdy, a couple of things that'll push your pay grade all the way up, a couple of things that are just fun as heck to ride. Super well built, super rad community. You got Groms, you've got, weekend warriors like me and Austin, guys in the industry, guys that are just picking up, and progressing. It's a great place to do all of those things. So super, super highly recommended. I'm excited to try to find a way to get to Ride Rock Creek, which is around the corner from it, and it is a shuttle bike park in the same vein as Canoga. Haven't ridden that one yet. And of course, you're right in the heart of the Brevard Pisgah DuPont National Forest that's recovering from Hurricane Helene. And again, as these trails are now back open, they want you to come back down there and flood that economy and help that tourism industry keep rolling, because it helps that community stay vibrant. So this was way before this. This was back in the April time frame. Great time to ride. It's a little bit cold, but super, super fun trails. And I will go back to Canoga probably with an e-bike and keep progressing on all the trails that they offer right there at the bike park. Back in Virginia, number 8 on the list is Grayson Highland State Park. And when you think of Grayson Highland, remember that's all the way down Route 81 into the southwest corner near Galax, Virginia, or you might be a little bit more familiar with Damascus, Virginia, where the Virginia Creeper Trail is. We rode that as well. That's a family ride, and that ranks if you want to take your family on an 18-mile all downhill cruise. We did a video on that too. But in terms of like the best trails that I rode, Grayson Highland allows mountain biking. So it's a state park and mostly a place where you would think to go hike, but it was a super cool adventure ride that me and my buddy did, and we ran into some other mountain bikers that were out there. It's all double track, so we're not talking about bombing epic downhills per se, but you get to ride past wild horses and wild cows and all sorts of wildlife. Again, go into that ride if you're out there and you're with the family, spend the morning, get up at sunrise, and just have a good attitude that this is an adventure ride and it'll be something that I probably would never otherwise see on a mountain bike. With that mindset, it ranks super high for me as a really cool trail here in Virginia. Very unique, thinking about the other state parks that don't usually allow mountain biking, and the fact that they do, and it's right below Mount Rogers, which is the highest mountain peak in all of Virginia. And anytime you can start to do that kind of stuff and access it by bike means you're gonna get to see more than if you were on foot. It makes it super worth doing if you're in the area. I'd stop short of saying take your mountain bike and drive right to Grayson Highland State Park right now today just for that ride, but there's enough around it. You add in the Virginia Creeper Trail and Iron Mountain near there and Hungry Mother State Park, and you can make a mountain bike trip out of it without any issue, and then go hike and see the ponies as well on foot. So super fun, super unique on this one. It ranks as number 8 of the top 10 I rode in 2024. The 9th trail on the list is the JT Trails at Pocohontas State Park just outside Richmond, Virginia. Now, not really just the JT trails, but really the whole trail system that's north of the lake there is really fantastic compared to the southern side, which is really just kind of some XC narrow single track. You get that on the north side too, but making the list this year for the new places that I've ridden is those JT trails. They're flowy, they're bermy, there's little log skinnies, as well as some pops and drops and jumps. It's super, super fun when you combine that with the fire road and the single track that gets you over to where Freight Line and Blueberry Way and Moonshine and Zero and the flow trails and the gap jump, creek gap that they've got there. It really becomes just a super, super fun trail system. It's in Richmond, Virginia, or just outside anyways, so there's no mountains to climb or anything like that, but they have done a great job building out that network of trails into an awesome trail system. Bring the hardtail, bring the XC or down country bike, and then pin it as hard and as fast as you can, or do some laps in some of those sections that are super, super fun. I didn't actually do a full ride video of the JT trails. I did 1 or 2 Instagram posts that you see there. But otherwise, I have done some broader videos of some of the other stuff that I love to ride out there, and they've continued to build. So it's far from done, and they're always refining it. So highly recommend Pocohontas if you've never ridden there. They've got on-site camping, and you can camp and ride, and they do races like the Poco Go and a bunch of other stuff. It's super, super fun. Really enjoyable. Again, in Virginia, it's a gem. In Richmond, it's really a fun place to ride. It is state park, so you got to get like the trail access fees and all of that stuff squared away. So adding it into this list because the JT trails were new. I got with Brian from Down to Ride MTB. If you follow his channel, he showed me around, and then I pinned down some additional miles as well. Super, super fun trail system right here in the heart of Virginia. And last but not least, number 10 on the list is Pandapis Pond right there in Blacksburg, Virginia. Me and Fo got a chance to ride up to the ridge on that north side and take Jacob's Ladder down and ride Skullcap. Super fun. Not the most technical that you can get to on that whole mountain range that's right there in Blacksburg, but it's super accessible and super fun. Great to ride a good like intermediate loop. Technically, the stuff on the other side of the mountain I didn't ride in 2024, but if I had, Blunderbuss and Wavelength, did a video on that. It was late 2023. Calling it out here because that other side is Black Diamond, well, blue to Black Diamond, and fun as absolute heck. There's so many awesome trails that you can access on that side. You could pedal up and over the mountain, so you could access it from Pandapis Pond. That trail system is awesome. And so hear me say, if you've never ridden in Blacksburg, make a trip. From wherever you live in Virginia, that's worth the trip. It's not far from Roanoke, which has incredible riding. I actually didn't ride that much in Roanoke this year, but number 10 on the list gets high marks for all of the labyrinth that you can access. Again, if I were going to choose 1 or 2 trails right out of the gate, it would actually be Blunderbuss and the Wavelength Trail, and they built a new downhill trail on that south-facing side of the mountain that I didn't ride in 2024, but you get the point. The other side, super fun as well, and I only scratched the surface on a 10-mile loop. So much more that you can get to. You will not be disappointed. So that is why the Blacksburg Pandapis Pond area makes the list at number 10. So as we turn our sights to 2025, it's going to be another great year of riding. Really excited for building out some bikes. As you see here, the finished product. We're going to go through the bike building this out here for young Forrest, who's going to continue his mountain biking racing in the NICA and the VHSL circuits. So they're going to have a lot of fun with doing a lot of that. You'll see some of those videos from me this year. Definitely want to focus a little bit more in Virginia. I've got some destination places that I want to ride, like the Elizabeth Furnace, and then some of the other trails out there off of 81 and off of the state line with West Virginia, and getting farther north up into Woodstock and Massanutten Ridge, and try to make some trips out that way as well as getting back down into some of the other backcountry stuff that's accessible from the Stokesville area. Young Forrest says he wants to do the SM100K in the fall, right there around the early first weekend of spring, or excuse me, the first weekend of fall that it is. So we're going to try to train for that. We're going to try to get one big ride in every single month to get him ready for it. We'll see if we can pull that off. And then, of course, we'll have a few trips that'll get sprinkled in and try to ride a bike and get to some cool places outside of Virginia. But hope to give you a lot more in Virginia content this year, which has been super fun. Still being built, trails are still being built here in Charlottesville, so there'll be more to highlight there as well. So I hope you're enjoying the content. Appreciate all the support, all the subscribers. You guys are awesome. You know, we do memberships and everything like that. Just know that I can barely get videos out when I get them out, so it's not a lot of new content for that. That's just a way to support the channel. Appreciate it if you do, and overall, we really enjoy doing the content, making sure that everybody has more information about the places that I get to ride, so that you know how to get out there and ride those same types of trails and know what to look for. At the end of the day, that's why we launched the trail, And we just love doing those videos. You'll see more riding from Fo and some additional adventure rides when I can get them in. So if you have any suggestions for 2025, again, comment below. I want to know where else in Virginia that are worth riding that you haven't already seen on the channel. Anything outside of the area, of course. If I happen to be in a different state and I can get to a bike, I'm going to go ride something. You can promise that. So we'll continue to work, continue to hear from you guys. We'll keep building out and building up the stoke for all of the awesome riding we have in here in Virginia and beyond, so that you can get out there and find that flow.